the way we're running the game is that since last time we started with the most personal character on the board, now we're going to start with the most cosmic character on the board. And my impression, I think, is that that's Earth's first mind.
Yep. I am definitely
Whereas
in that
Morgan,
order.
you're cosmic personal super, I think.
I think
Right.
so, yeah.
Yeah. So Gordon, you were going to start with you as the most cosmic character. And so we begin by saying, okay, at the end of the last session, we had established that diamonds had become a minor goddess, not the major complete goddess that she might have, but she did become a minor goddess. And so, therefore, I want to know cosmically what your character is doing and what ability you're doing it with. And this is not the tricky thing is you might say, oh, well, I'm in this contest with diamonds. What am I going to do in it? No, start over, reboot, wipe, splash page. You can be anywhere you want relative to the outcome of the previous contest, including completely separated from it, because our fiction permits that. The only person
Right.
who's mandated to be with diamonds in this regard is Zebediah.
So I'm not even mandated to be with diamonds right now.
Correct.
And so
Zebediah got away with diamonds.
Yeah,
in the
he
last
flew
scene?
away with her.
yeah.
Or did he? Because he flew
Yeah.
through space with her. Yeah, he flew through space with her.
Yep.
Yeah. Where he flew to, we don't know, but he definitely got to her. All right. So I'm trying to the piece that I think I would have.
And remember, you
Earth's
don't have
first-
to be involved in this at all. You can go after your own business all you want to. Develop anything on your sheet that you feel like you wrote and that we haven't paid any attention to, and you're like, screw that. This issue begins with me establishing all kinds of things and having like real contests with things I care about.
Well, so the thing that I want to focus on is what knocked me out of my path that I was on, this head of Eternus thing
Aha.
that blasted me.
Right. Now remember, you don't have to direct yourself. This is really interesting. We've all been trained by all these story games to go after each other. Right? To work with the fiction, to not let go of what just happens. Don't let go. Stay with it. Develop it, pursue. And I'm doing exactly the opposite. And if you want to, that's fine. But what I am saying is that the way I'm set up this game is you're guaranteed to interfere with each other sooner or later anyway. So, when you have the freedom, you might want to really develop stuff about yourself. As opposed to, if you want to, go ahead.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, because, what I was left with thinking about the last session is that whole getting knocked out by the head of Eternus got moved past a little quickly because we started focusing on diamonds. So, I was thinking that, but now from the thing that I'm looking at is as the Silurian, how can switching to that develop something for him?
Mm-hmm. So just all I'm asking is that since we're starting with you as the most cosmic character, do cosmic things now.
Yes. And so I think I am going to, having seen this apotheosis of diamonds, not quite being sure what's going on with it, turn my attention to this head, which I think. Wait, no, because that's.
The head presumably went off with Zebediah, right?
Yeah, that went off with Zebediah, so I can't. All right, I'm not in sync with that reality yet. Okay, so I can't really focus on that. So instead,
Well, you can do whatever you want. I mean, just pick an ability to do it with, and I want you to do something cosmic. I want to break us of the habit of trying to make it all work together.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
That's a hard habit to break.
Yeah,
Um,
you gotta kind of. You're like, well, I got to continue the story, you know, and we established our story. We got to get going on it. And I'm saying more like, no, now is the time where you basically get to say, no, excuse me, I'm the main character, and you know, the the writer obviously brought in his fucking favorite character and like totally like upstaged me last time. It's time I would prefer to have a few, you know, I get it now. I'm over here, right? My character sheet.
and I want to be cosmic about it. So,
Well, what were you doing before you got knocked out of
He was
your journey?
striding across the time streams, as I recall.
yes, heading towards a place that I can no longer get to right now because that's
What's
actually
this?
where I took my damage.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
So, I'm obviously
Gordon, you just
here.
keep constraining yourself in the oddest ways. Oh, I can't do that. I'm like, what? What? What?
Well, I thought that's what got established at the end of the last one, but
Oh, well,
But-
that you got knocked out of it. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
well,
You
who
did
knows?
take damage to the ability, but you could still use it just as a penalty, I guess.
That's correct.
yeah,
Yeah,
guess
no, I
that's
didn't shut it
entirely
down.
true. That's true. But I think it works fine to just have him focusing here in the 22nd century anyway. He hasn't been in the 22nd century before that he remembers, and he is the servant of sentience, so he has to find what are the leading minds of the 22nd century. And so we're not quite sure what just happened here with diamonds, but there's more important things to bring my attention to bear on anyway.
What ability are you
Um,
using?
I'm going to use my Servant of Sentience ability to find the best minds of this time to learn about what problems are besetting it.
That's cool. So, what are the three that you have that have problems, Gordon?
So I have a vast knowledge, but it's hard to recall. He literally can't remember everything that he knows.
Okay, that sounds
I
like it's
have-
going to be my pick. But go on.
I have relatable, but
Right. Remember that one.
but he's
right.
yeah,
And
relatable, but he's an alien.
Right.
And then I have empathic to individuals, but annoyed with and annoyed to groups.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, empathic, and then comma, but with individuals, not groups. That's what makes more sense as I phrase it.
Okay.
But I think the first one is a gimme. Obviously, that's going to be hampering you,
Yeah.
and so you're going to be rolling against it. And so, give us a visual on how it looks. Jim Steranko is drawing you using that ability of yours. So, what does it look like? It's got to have concentric circles.
Well, as you know, I am not the most comic savvy, and yet still, I think I know exactly the kind of imagery that this needs to be. And so we will have a spiraling image superimposed of his form, spiraling around the page and growing larger and larger and spreading out through space as multiple copies of his ghostly form spread across the world, searching out
Can
someone
I say
worthy
that
of
as these
speech.
different copies, we see a different person, like in the world,
Okay.
right? Right.
You
So all these
could.
different people from all around the world in their daily activities, you know, doing their ordinary things, and your ghostly self is in all these these hundreds of spots is actually looking at them because you're looking for the great minds, right?
Yes, and it the image superimposes on them, and for the most part, these are images of him as fairly human. But in that moment of superimposition, there's a little bit of a creepy shadow of that squid-like face that
Oh,
he
I see. Right, right.
that
Okay.
appears over these
Right,
people.
right. So, all right, good enough. Now, so therefore, you're rolling, however, against that problem in your knowledge,
Right.
because and if that can hamper you, your inability to remember what you need to, is going to hamper your understanding of the problem. Because if you succeed in the contest, you will find the problem for sure.
Okay, so what I am using is cosmic, and my vast knowledge is a super.
Right. Okay. So I'm at a disadvantage, not you. Number one. Number two, you I want to point out that we got to think about what's being targeted, and it seems to me as though what would be targeted here would be well, geez, well I'd have to have your sheet right in front of me, which I'm gonna have to take a quick peek at. Hold on. Okay. Um,
You probably want to strip out all of my parenthetical comments, but
yeah, you got awfully verbose there. I will tell you that.
yeah,
Um,
I
and
got started, and then I was like, I did it for one, I have to do it for all of them.
right.
So
Um, well, I'm going to target cruelly. I'm going to target your reading memories ability. That
okay,
if you fail the contest, you'll take damage at that.
that
Because
works.
yeah, because right now, let's just say you're having trouble keeping your thoughts straight. So that makes sense with what you're doing, makes sense with what's opposing you, makes sense with what ability might be hurt by it. So you guys ready? Simple contest,
I'm
one
set.
on one. And so first and foremost, we roll. My rating, you got your rating, right?
Right.
And my
So
rating is um,
so you are a 19. No, no, I'm sorry. You are an 18.
right. I'm using the read. Wait, wait. Oh, I'm so confused again. Oh,
You're using the vast knowledge but hard to recall
right, right. Oh,
against my
there it
reads
is. Okay, got
memories.
it. Yeah, I've got an 18. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I am rolling. I get a success, just a plain success.
So I have uh 2W, I roll a 10,
Right. So you have an automatic bump.
and so I've got automatic bump to a success, right?
Right. Uh huh.
From a simple failure to a success. Or
Right.
yeah.
Now this is kind of an interesting thing because technically, since I'm at a disadvantage,
You
someone
got a
should
hero
get a
point?
hero point. Do I get a hero point like Ron and not Gordon?
Last session, didn't you give yourself hero points?
I think I
I
did.
think you did.
I think I did.
And I think since you don't have much to do it with do with it, you just gave it you bumped with it.
Right, right. But so in this case, I have that's correct. So, but this case, I get a hero point at the start of this contest. But go ahead.
Yeah.
So you get your automatic bump, which puts you at a success. So right now it's success on success. I'm not allowed to spend the hero point right now because I'm at a disadvantage. If you wanted to, and you have your free hero point that you got at the start, you bump it up to make a success on a critical on success if you wanted to, or you could just have a success on success and leave it at that. Um, do you see the result if you have a success on a success?
So success on success is a marginal victory, right?
Right.
And if I bump it to a critical on success, it's a minor victory. Um,
Now let's see. I'm attacking you. We have to remember like who's the actor here.
Yeah, and
attack
and
you, so I
are
would get
we
the
are
marginal. I
and
would
are
get
we and are we resolving my attempt to find a mind, or are we resolving your attempt to damage me?
right.
Yeah.
The No, you're right. You're the one. You're the actor. You're the one who's doing a thing. I'm opposing it by interposing something. So you would get the marginal victory. That's actually kind of important. The system is sort of structured to treat the two combatants equally, and yet there's this asymmetry to the table as far as the marginal victory in the middle is concerned. So that's a bit of a something that we have to resolve. So we know that by saying who actually is the acting party. What you're trying to do makes you the acting party. So therefore, do you want it your marginal victory, or do you want to bump it to a minor victory?
Let's use that hero point and make it a minor victory.
Okay. And
I
so
don't want
that
to be
basically finishes the contest.
tinkering around in the
Right.
22nd century if there's nothing interesting
Right.
here.
And so you do find now in this game the GM is still the backstory guy. So I can tell you this, that the 20th second century's biggest problem is that the yeah the latent Silurian DNA that had been implanted in humans way back at the beginning is manifesting, and all of them are going to basically, it's going to go horribly wrong, and they're all going to basically mutate and die. So you're going to get a whole bunch of dysfunctional semi-Silurians flopping around until they die. So
Oh, great! I'll
a
have a
big
little
part of it is
company, and
that
then they'll all die.
human tech has progressed by this 22nd century, has progressed to the point where Silurians are no longer compatible with it. So even though humans were supposed to restore proper Silurianness to the sentient race of the Earth, it's going to go horribly wrong. And the great minds of the world have figured this out, but nobody will believe them. Different scholars are like, different scientists, different crackpots, different scholars, different historians or whatever are actually cross-referencing notes, but nobody's ever going to believe anything this crazy. You guys have already seen that traffic patterns are very orderly in the 22nd century. With all those crisscrossing cars and stuff. It's an obedient populace. It's a very... everybody's very... There's no wars in the 22nd century. Everybody knows their job.
Yeah, not really my kind of place, but all right.
And yeah, the Silurians aren't... The Silurianness is just not going to work in this. Human modifications to their own genetics, human modifications to the environment, everything. It's totally incompatible. So there you go.
Well, I guess there is a reason I'm here.
Mm-hmm. So now you get to pick the next person up, who in this case happens to be Morgan. It would be tied between Morgan and Ihel, but it's just Morgan. You get to make Morgan's life miserable. And the way we find out is we find out whatever it is that Azimuth is doing in the same way that you talked about what you were doing. And then you have the choice that I didn't have, whether to have your scene impact him directly in a plot sense, or whether you want to just problematize whatever he's doing with one of his internal problems. Either way. So
Gotcha.
we start with Morgan telling us about what Azimuth is up to, whether it's following up on anything that happened last time or not, as you see fit. Remember that we had implicated the child, the whatchamacallit, the
Child of
Chin Lao.
Right. The child of Chin Lao has been implicated already in your situation. In fact, Diamond seems to be her, or it, or that. So, therefore, whatever it is you want to do, though. I mean, pursue that, pursue something else.
Well, I think Azimuth would definitely be interested in following up on that, since that's part of his race on Daedra. So I'm going to try and use my precognitive super ability to track down where Zebediah has flown off to.
Okay.
So I go into standard psychic stance and 14 tiny points of light emerge from my head and fly off in all directions.
Are you
And I
awake or
get-
asleep at this point?
Well, I entered into this state through my dream fugue, so technically I'm asleep back in my body in the 20th century. But that's
Right.
okay since I astral projected to here. So
Yes. But
I'm just
but
like-
just for a visual, what does your sleeping body look like in what kind of room and all that sort of thing?
let's say an apartment in a brownstone, somewhere in convenient American city of choice, 3 or 4 stories up.
Well, pish posh. We
Um,
don't have to be in America.
Um,
I've got kind of a thing about that these days.
I do kind of like it being in America,
Okay, good enough. I'm not going to say no.
though. So yeah, 3 or 4 stories up. It's not there are no obvious signs of great wealth, but it's well kept and it's full of paraphernalia that looks like something out of a crazy conspiracy theorist room. There's a there's a what do I call it, a board on the wall with photos
Right,
tacked up
of
with
course.
lines in
Got
between
it,
them.
got it. We see that this guy spends a lot of
Uh,
time trying to organize things he finds out. Right.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
there you go.
Okay.
So
Just
I'm just
socioeconomically, are we looking at a very well-off place or grubby place, or what is?
lower upper middle class. He consults as a police
Excuse me, I have to
investigator
go
from
and
time to time.
consult my. I've got to consult my leverageur about what lower upper middle class means. But okay.
I'm just robbing that from The Simpsons.
Oh,
Where,
I see.
upper
Okay.
middle class.
Okay.
So I mean, he'd have a pretty comfortable income, but he wouldn't be fabulously wealthy. So it's a comfortable apartment, and he's
Okay.
just recumbent on the bed,
Mhm.
on top of the sheets, which are
Got
neatly
it.
made. And so yeah,
14
what
points. of
did you
light.
settle on? Early 20? Sorry.
I was just describing the 14
Oh
points
yeah,
of
the
light.
14 points. Yeah, the 14 points of light, but that's emanating from my astral self in the 22nd century. Who looks like a granite statue at the moment with some chunks taken out of him because that was damaged as a result of the last conflict.
Okay.
And so yeah, those flickering lights, they dash off into the distance, and I get flickering impressions of the landscape underneath, and then it accelerates into a blur, and the void of the stars open it up, and I get
Well,
flashes and imagery.
this is where Gordon steps in and either has what happens in his scene totally screw you in a direct connected way, like have a woman fall out of the sky on your head, being the example from last time,
Okay.
or Gordon looks at your 3 problematic abilities and picks one to mess with you, like I just
Sure.
did him. So, Gordon,
Okay.
can you see those and pick one?
Yep. So I think the thing that I'm going to pick is, his astral presence is only there when he's sleeping. So
Okay.
there's a knocking on your door in that lower upper middle class apartment that threatens to wake you up.
So
And
you're going to
yank
use
you
that
away from
particular
this quest.
ability to do that, Gordon?
That's what it
Cool.
sounds. That's what it
Got it.
sounds like.
Right.
And in this case, do I pick a target as well?
You should. I mean, you could pick the thing he's trying to do. That, in other words, whatever it is if you succeed at it, that you damage that thing he was trying to do, which is a pretty simple way to do it. Or you could pick some other ability besides the one he's trying to do.
Well, let's see. He is using a super ability, and I am using a cosmic ability. That leads to whose advantage?
Well, the advantage would be yours.
Yeah, well, I can hear them, and oops, I lost you, Morgan.
Yeah.
Oh.
The connection went funny. He's probably closing and coming back.
Yeah.
Um, Well, this is kind of funny. I mean, in the edit, it's going to be interesting. We're all kind of spiraling around in different positions. So,
I have not yet internalized the what trumps what
Okay.
cycle here. So what do we
That's
got with
okay, so you're using one of his cosmic abilities against one of his super abilities. Is that correct, Gordon?
yeah, that's right.
So, well, it depends on what he opposes with. We don't know that yet, so don't go there yet. He hasn't
Oh,
chosen
okay.
what to oppose you with. So, basically, yes, somebody is knocking on your chamber door, Azimuth. So the question is, what are you going to? Are you going to? You could even just treat this not as a contest and just wake up and deal with it, or you could try to basically defeat this situation and that would mean that you would kind of get more of what you wanted out of your depends on what you use. So I'm not going to say what would happen. Depends on what you want to use that will dictate that.
I'm going to use my curious ability because I really want this information.
Okay, so you're going to use your curious ability to oppose the knock knock knock, correct?
To try and stay asleep, yeah, basically.
Right, perfect. And so
To
by
try and
using
stay focused
curious,
on.
yeah, and by using curious, by definition, if you win, you'll find something out. So that makes sense, right?
Right.
So curious is a personal trait. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It is, but well, the idea here is that I'm using my precognitive trait to try and find out
No,
where
I get that.
Zebediah is going
No,
off to,
I get that. That's fun.
and I'm being attacked with.
Right. I'm talking about the ability that you're using to defend yourself with. That's all I'm asking about.
Okay.
So you're using
So-
your curious to defend yourself.
To stay
against.
focused on the precog.
Yes, which is fine. We don't have to justify it. I'm saying it
Yeah,
works
yeah.
perfectly. What I'm just
Yeah.
looking for is who has the advantage, and the advantage right now goes to Azimuth because personal beats
Okay.
cosmic. Therefore, Gordon, you get a hero point, but you can't spend it on. But you can't bump in this contest with it. Okay.
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 So Gordon, you go ahead and well, you guys will basically both roll. I mean,
Yep.
technically it would be nice to know. I mean, I don't think we really, need much, but I personally get an image of Azimuth focusing hard in the dream state of saying, no, knock, knock, knock. Oh, can't listen, can't wake up, I must know, So
Wow,
the
intensity
14
for-
points of light all like incandesce with force because of this.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm seeing.
Yes.
Okay.
The person knocking at the door has a thought bubble.
Yeah.
Maybe he's really not here. Maybe I
That's
should
right,
just
yeah.
go away. Or maybe.
So therefore, well, roll your abilities and tell me what you get.
Let's see.
I don't want the number. I want the 4 outcomes: critical,
Yeah.
success, failure, fumble.
Success.
Gordon?
So, whoops, that's not the right person. Azimuth, the astral presence is a 19 now because it's a 2W with a 3 injury. Is that the right math?
That's
it goes.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, I have a success.
Okay. So a success on a success. And again, like who's attacking and who's defending is actually really, really tricky. You got a success on a success. You are the person who has you're the person who has the marginal victory. Now, of course, if you want to, you can turn it into a minor victory by spending a hero point, and you got one at the beginning of the session, so I think you have one. But it's up
Yes.
to you. Or you could just make it marginal.
I'll stick with the marginal victory.
Okay. Now, it is a success, but you're going to get exactly what you wanted and no more. So as GM, the narrator, especially for marginals, I think you kind of need a third-party narrator, because you really got to make sure you don't overstep the marginality.
Okay.
Margin. So the clear situation is this. You find out what you were trying to find out, which was what exactly?
I want to know where Zebediah has taken diamonds.
Right, you do know. And
Okay. Do I not need to roll against precognitive at all?
no, you don't need to do that.
Okay.
I mean, in my opinion, you don't need to. That's just what you were
Okay.
trying to do. And
Okay.
this was the thing that was screwing with you to do it, and you defended yourself against it, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do the thing where you have to roll this in order to be able to roll that. So and as you can see, it kind of hands you a victory for the one thing by succeeding or defending successfully with the other, and I don't have a problem with that. So the thing with your situation is that you do find out, and I'll just cock an ear over there and say, Alex,
Yeah.
where did you and Diamonds go?
I don't know. You should frame the scene. I was just trying to get away.
Good enough. Okay. In that case, I will say that they went. They actually probably went wherever Diamonds wanted to go. And yeah, remember, Diamonds wanted to eradicate your rock starness, right? But she only got a minor victory at most. It might even have been just a marginal. So as I recall, so therefore, you guys are going to end up back in. You're going to end up like back in your swanky rock star. You know, I don't know. As a prog rocker, you could be weird and have a totally Spartan, like, you know.
No, I have a mansion.
You
in
have
LA.
one of those. Okay, right.
Yeah.
So you're in there, and you're in the sheets with all the, you know, there's like, you know, there's hangers on and, you know, useless individuals who've attached themselves to you, sleeping all over the place and stuff like that. And you know, the staff is glumly cleaning out the pool again. And so you wake up, you know, in your gummy bed, and Diamonds is there with you, still asleep. A tabloid newspaper is spread across the place. Daily Mail, of course. Right. Daily Mail spread across the place. Who knows who brought that rag in here? But on
Do you
it,
have
of
Daily
course.
Mail in LA?
Oh, are you in LA?
Yeah.
No.
Very, very definitely.
Okay, you're in LA. Well, in
I have
that
an
case-
ability. Don't go home.
No, they're right.
I'm English.
Right. That's. Oh no.
Get it flown in specially.
If it was a major victory, you would be back home with that. But it wasn't. So you're still in LA. But the tabloid does talk all about how the rumors of Zebediah and his long-term girlfriend are true about their wedding.
Oh, fuck.
Right. So that's where he is. We'll get there in a minute, okay? And so see what I do with marginal victories from goddesses, right? She didn't change your life. She got a marginal victory toward what she wanted. So awesome. I love this game. So Morgan, we're still with you. That's what you found out. But
Okay.
we're still dealing with your marginal victory, and your marginal victory dictates that that's all you get out of the situation, which means that the door opens and somebody's standing there, and since I'm the GM and I get to look at your sheet and play with it, I say it's that brother of yours.
Oh, okay.
Right. So now I don't know just how much cutting we want to do. I think it's kind of up to the player in question. Morgan, do you want to continue with that interaction?
I kind of want to see what Zebediah is up to.
There you go.
Maybe
It's up to
I
you,
can
though.
get
Do you
on
see
that.
how we can go either way? I kind of like that.
Sure.
So, all right. In that case, then you do to Zebediah what Gordon did to you. Ask him what he's doing, and then decide whether you're going to do an internal conflict or whether you're going to have your scene go and get him.
Okay. Right. Zebediah, what are you up to?
I think I'm gently shaking Diamonds awake to show her what's happening.
Oh, that's great. You find him. This is Fantastic Comics. You find him, and then you woke up, but then we go and stay with him.
No.
Even though you're not, like, looking at him anymore. Ah.
So how is Diamonds responding? Or is
Yeah,
that something I was supposed to
Okay,
determine?
so yeah, you're basically you're telling us what you're doing. You're shaking Diamond's awake, and she opens one eye and stretches and said, "Oh, that was the best idea I ever had at dinner last night."
I hold up the tabloid papers. What's this?
And she smiles again and is sits up and says, "That's just how things are, and it's only going to get better and better and better. You go ahead and knock everybody out with that next album, but baby," she says, "you're going to be a happier man."
We've been over this, Diamonds. We can just be together without being married. My parents are married, and they just spent their days in a room watching soap operas in that shithole. Like, we're free people, you know. We don't need to tie ourselves down.
And that was when she basically, she's getting up, and getting dressed, and sticks her head out the bedroom door and shouts, "Mimosa's up here!" and says, "Oh, a mimosa. Oh. GM wants mimosa all of a sudden." So she basically, comes back and says, "What's done is done, and there's so much more to do. You said you wanted to pursue your visions, and yet it was getting empty."
So does she consciously remember what
It's
happened
hard
when
to tell. It's kind of hard. She remembers the conversation, but she's like, it's. I'm trying to play that very ambiguously at the moment. It could be interpreted that to her, this is just ordinary reality now. But she does seem to have kind of more presence about the whole thing. Hey, you know that hero point that I had? She's 7 mastery now.
Well, I'd already put her to 7, so she...
Now she's
because
an 8.
of the... Okay.
I just discovered how the GM uses hero points. Throws things around on the abilities that make everyone else nervous.
I'm I'm kind of stumped by her saying this. Like, do I just go along with it?
And also, remember, you can move ahead in your things. I mean, you can just call it a day and go and work on, go deal with you can use whatever ability you want. You can go cut some work with your band. You can...
Yeah, this is what I do.
Yeah.
When there's problems, I phone the band up, go to the rehearsal studios, just gonna immerse myself in the music.
Excellent. How many members of your band are German?
At least 2 of them, I think.
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah. Right then. So, of course, Jurgen is there working out, whatever the weird thing that used to be a guitar was, is now, and is, he's ready to go. So you're going to work on some music?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I think I've got a whole load of analog effects pedals.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of... I'm predominantly a lyricist, so I think I'm probably making some scribbles as well.
Excellent. The band actually probably would be like, they're used to this. This is how they do things. I mean, you guys have done this for years, and I'm saying that they're doing things like throwing you like weird chords, but also questions. Like they'll bring up something, and someone else will bring up something. They're kind of free associating, and then you will start actually kind of hypnagogically rapping, as you're, So sooner or later it'll all come out in the cut, in their mix eventually. But right now, you guys are all just like having this cross between a philosophical discussion and an encounter group and a jam session and all that all at once. So turn on a power and whoo. So, cool. So, what ability are you using? Is it just the band?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I'll be using... Yep.
Excellent. So, Morgan, do your worst.
I think I'm going to try and hit him up with Magnificent Presence again.
Boy, that thing just gets in his way, doesn't it? He thought it was going to be his big power to get what he wants in every scene. Now he's like, God damn it!
It's either that or penetrate time or rewind wounds, and I'm kind of.
Ooh, I like penetrate time. His music can do that shit. I mean.
So does he get a visit from a 26th century groupie or something?
I don't know.
Okay.
Wait, what's the downside of that particular ability?
It's limited to a few hundred years either way, unless fleeing.
Okay, so he's not fleeing, but yeah, I mean,
Well,
It's
who
limited.
knows? Morgan, that's fantastic. You can do whatever you want with the 100 years, 200 years in the past or future, to make this particular recording session memorable.
And for the moment, I think I'm still going to go with Magnificent Present. After the announcement in the tabloids about your possible marriage, your manager is kind of flustered and concerned about what this could mean for the future of the band. And he storms in and crosses his hand and says, "I need to know immediately whether this is for real or whether this is just another attention-grabbing stunt of yours."
what did I say about coming into the recording studio when we're in the middle of something?
That's dice. Dice.
Okay.
If I ever saw a contest demand for the dice, that would be it.
Okay.
I kind of like the way that this time we're not having like this massive tapestry. We're just like every single character's like, my life sucks.
Okay. I got a failure, but it's a 2W, so I can use that.
Let's back up just a second.
Okay.
I want to know the ability we know the ability you're using, and we know the ability that you're trying to do, but we don't know the ability that you're using to defend with.
Okay.
So, Alex, what
What I'm
ability?
using to defend with. Yeah, that would be my band. That makes the most sense.
Right, okay. So that's a personal thing,
Yeah.
and he's using what? Morgan, in what keyword is that ability that you're using?
It's also
It's also personal.
Okay, so no, all hero points on deck, and no new ones. So all right, they're up against each other. Morgan got a failure, and did you say you had a bump or something with that, or not?
It's a 2W ability, so I could bump it up to a success.
Well, you have to. The master
Okay.
bump, the mastery that's built into the ability always applies.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right,
So
that's
yeah,
not an
that's
option. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a success.
Okay, so he got a success, and you.
I got a failure on a 19.
Ooh. Okay, so success against a failure, minor victory. And
Mhm.
Alex, do you want to bump it or anything? You don't have anything, do you?
No.
Okay, so you got hammered. So the recording session is just. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Morgan.
Didn't he get a hero point at the start of the session?
Yeah, but he spent. Did he?
Oh.
Yeah, well, he does get a hero point at the start of a session. That's true. Now, granted, yeah, if he does use it, then the marginal victory will go to him, to Alex. Something tells me I'm going to have some real clear rules about that. Where does the marginal victory go?
Yeah, I'm going to use it.
Okay.
There was a system where it went to whoever had the higher roll, I think.
No, that's only if you have a critical on a critical.
Oh, okay then.
Right. I mean, I suppose you could use it for all of the ties, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to try and work with the chart as written, because that particular chart is part of their SRD, I think. I just discussed the SRD today, and that particular chart is sort of backbone for the system, so I'm not going to mess with it. Or at least talk to them.
Yeah, I think the real key is just making sure you know who is.
Yeah, who would get the marginal. And in this case, it's kind of like, well, the spotlight's on him, so we're going to say that he's the kind of the actor of it all.
Yeah.
So, Alex, if you get a marginal victory, then the result will be that you manage to get the manager out of there. But the trouble is, Right. That I mean, you managed to get him out of there, but that's all you get, which means that you just lost your manager.
Okay.
Right. So yes. Now, what would his name be? Nigel is so overused. And besides,
Trevor?
Trevor. Yeah. Boy, playing band manager is becoming kind of my stock and trade after that sorcerer game. So yeah, so Trevor has had it, and Trevor is going to go off and manage. You know, I don't know.
Well, I think I threw my bottle of whiskey at the wall near him.
Oh, that'll do
I'm
it.
telling
Yeah.
him to get out.
That'll put a damper on. That'll diminish someone's enthusiasm. And so yeah, Trevor's had it. Trevor has decided that it's time to cash out and go and live in
Gonna manage a boy band.
No, I got a better idea. The Mexican woman who's been cleaning his house for all these years recently retired and moved back to Mexico and bought a mansion, and let him know that she has a cottage on her property that he's welcome to live at if he wants to. And so yeah, he's decided to take her up on that. He's going to go move to Mexico, live in her cottage, and she's going to be his landlady. So
Okay.
right.
We need a flashback to that later.
But you've lost your manager. That's your situation. You got what you wanted. Got him out of there. That's marginal victory for you. Okay, so you can proceed with your day, or you can decide that you're going to make another player character's life interesting. And then you have the choice whether to have your scene impact them somehow, or whether you want to have it be their own problem, like we've been doing tonight, as it happens. Or we can continue with your stuff, because you can go and do something, super cosmic now, and if you wanted to, I mean, whatever.
No, we'll move on, I think. Now, do I choose who to move on to?
Well, you see, the way I've been doing it is to start either with most personal or with most cosmic, and then just working my way down the ladder. But now that we've been all the way through, maybe the thing to do is, well, it's kind of tricky, isn't it? I don't want to be just mechanical and always go in the same order every single time. But do I let a person just pick? That's a little high pressure, if you ask me, socially speaking.
I am kind of curious what Gordon's up to.
Okay.
So I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, we need a system for that, but go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll go to Gordon then.
Yeah, revenge, Gordon.
Yeah, let's see. I am now.
Well, you know your situation, right?
Yeah.
And since it hasn't been impacted by anything external, you're still like just looking at it, deciding what to do.
So, my next move is to is to pick that, best scientist that I heard was researching the Silurian DNA problem, and try and help him to get his message across to the people who need to understand the danger. And
You have so got to manifest in his lab. Like,
I have definitely got to show up in his lab.
So awesome. I so have the drawing.
Exactly.
Reaction shot on his part. Cool ass laboratory of the 22nd century.
And I phase into that location and explain to him that I'm here to help him convince people that this lurking menace in human DNA needs to be dealt with.
So, can I begin picking the ability to mess with this?
He needs to tell us what ability he's using.
Oh, okay, yeah, go. Yep.
Right. So
Yeah, in a harder world after the interfering contest, then we would roll, if he succeeded in not being interfered with, then we would roll this ability like on just a flat roll, just against a very
Mhm.
basic. I would roll with a 14. Technically, that would be using the system properly. But notes for later. Go on. Go ahead. So which one, Gordon?
So he's going to stick with his servant of sentience. You know, he's here to do good and to help and keep extinction from afflicting humanity.
Okay. Now, I think normally when the first mind is appearing, obviously he can keep his appearance under control. Due to this genetic awakening, it's calling something primal in him, I think, and his terrifying visage, yeah, is beginning to manifest. So I think that's what I'm attacking him with.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that completely makes sense. Now, it's not one that I have a butt on. It's not one that I have a traumatic association with, but I don't
That's
know
a good
how
question.
important that
Can
is.
you pick just any ability that you want to? It seems to me that probably you can. It's just
You
easy to
can-
pick the problematic ones, you know?
Yeah, as long as it makes sense. I think. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's
Once we
fictional
get to know
reality.
the characters better, then the abilities start to get a little bit more easy to start, messing with you. So okay, cool. So what's the category? What's the keyword for the visage?
So I am cosmic, and
No, wait, you haven't chosen what you're defending with yet, so you don't know.
Oh,
you
that's
aren't
true.
Alex,
That's
Alex is
true.
using
So
what?
I was using my servant of sentience just as you're right.
Right.
There's there's that weird pick what ability I'm using, then okay. So how do I want to defend against the revelation of my terrifying visage? That is a superpower.
Okay, that's fine.
And so super is actually trumped by
Cosmic.
So I will stick with the servant of sentience. Clearly,
Right.
this mind is, the scientist's mind is not ready to see the kind of horror that might come to humanity in my face. So I'm going to try and keep that from him.
Right. Well, or makes so much sense being so sentient after all. Fear not. Who knows? We'll deal with that
That's
in the
true
narration.
too.
We'll deal with
Yeah,
that.
or I mean, actually, I could even try and make it okay. He does see it, but it only steadies his resolve.
Right.
But,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. I like that. So with that going on, let's clarify the ability that you chose that you would be doing is probably necessarily targeted if you get badly defeated and take damage. So far, nobody's taken any damage this session, which I personally consider a failure on my part. But so far, nobody's taken any damage this session. Just letting you know that if you do, the servant
That's
of
where it will go.
the servant of sentience is going to get it. Right.
Yep.
So okay. So there you
that
go.
makes
That's
sense.
you've got that going on. You're cosmic. You're hitting with a super. So Alex, take a hero point, and which you can't spend. Do you see how I've decoupled hero points and characters, right? So Alex gets the hero point, and he could be using it on, other people's roles later, off their sheets anyway. So it's a little weird. I'm really, really playing silly putty with the hero point system in this regard, which I kind of like. So, Alex, go ahead and roll. Gordon, roll.
Okay. 8, which I believe is a failure, then bump to success.
Right. Well,
And
remember, hold on. The bump is with the built-in mastery. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes,
in
my
that case,
terrifying
it was
visage
never a
is-
failure.
Okay, right.
That's built in. You roll above a 2 and not a 20, it bumps to a success, and it always was a success.
Okay.
Right. So
And that
it's
is the
not a
exact
2,
same-
it's a 22.
Yeah, and that is the exact same thing that happens with me.
Okay. So success on success. Gordon, at the moment, you're looking at a marginal victory. Alex, you cannot spend that hero point on this particular contest. Gordon, do you want to spend a hero point if you have one?
Yes, I do, and I think I should.
All right, then. giving you I believe, a critical to a success, which is a minor victory. Awesome. So with that going on, we are looking at the scientist, and I'm going to say that this scientist is a Maori dude with full tattoo, shaven head, and otherwise, genetically modified to be like the same build as everybody else on Earth. Right?
Okay.
And everybody is permitted their one cultural statement of identity, as like their style, so that's where he's got the Maori thing going on. And he and the laboratory is almost all fluids based, so there's all kinds of pipes and all kinds of globes and all sorts of other transparent containers and stuff, and different fluids are everywhere. The computer, of course, is instantly recognizable to everybody in the story as a computer, but nobody sitting in this game would ever recognize it as a computer.
Ah.
God knows why. I have no idea what the computer is, but physically speaking. So, therefore, the scientist is amazed and at first is, shocked and horrified at this being that's all of his fears made manifest. But you so logically explain the situation. Now, with a minor victory, you're going to get a temporary +3 to your Servant of Sentience, which you can use. Was it already damaged or not? I don't know.
No, that one was not.
Right. Okay. So, but you have sort of a anti-damage on it right now, and that will last to till such a time as we figure it's done. At least you get to use it at least one more. I'm going to make it a 1 use. The next time you use it, you'll get a +3. That's the way to go on that, and then it goes away. So, anything else? So yes, you have the scientist is amazed and enlightened, and you have so much information to give that, the network of research, the network of communication about this is bumped up by a quantum. You are solving the problem here. Fantastic.
So I've got him as an ally in this process,
Mm-hmm.
and if I were to continue, I would of course continue trying to use my vast knowledge to help him with this process.
You go right
But
ahead.
I don't know if that's what's next.
You can. You go right ahead.
Yeah, that's definitely my next step. Is say, okay, great. Let me try and help you here. I understand things about biology that you humans haven't even begun to touch upon.
Of course, except for the parts you forgot.
Yeah, well, and so this is definitely a case of where if there's an opposition, the same ability can oppose that I'm trying to use.
Yeah, that's a good question. Can an ability oppose itself?
Yeah.
And especially because they're stated as dichotomies. I think that's a little bit. I mean, as a desperation device, maybe. I'd rather look around.
Right.
Something else. Okay, so Alex, you're kind of still on this. And my take is that you could either pick an ability to oppose the one he's using, which in this case would be that ability against this ability. It's more simple, I think. Or you can continue. Now you can interfere from your scene. So if the scene continues through multiple contests, you always have the option, if you didn't use it, to bring in what happened in your scene to make his life miserable or more interesting.
Let me just look through. So what ability are you using at the moment, Gordon?
So I'm using my vast knowledge, which is a super ability.
Oh, I see. Then that's why since the problematic thing, that would make sense if that was opposing it, but we're trying to avoid that.
Do we have a name for the scientist, by the way?
We do not, but
Does he have like a numeric designation?
Scott, that totally came to my mind at the same time. Totally. In fact, you know what? It's elite speak. Every letter that could possibly be a number is.
Okay. I
So
think
he's let me work something out with L's and sevens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sort of play with that. Uh,
okay. I think this is a little bit low key, but I think that I will attack with empathetic to no wait, give me a second. Relatable but alien. So I think that the little bit of offness,
right.
you know, you're obviously having good communication, but there's something there that
Well, it's difficult for him to, totally grasp everything, and it's not just him because now you're working across the whole network of all these people, right, Gordon? I mean, you're
Yep,
helping
exactly.
getting this done. This is a large scale kind of thing. So good. You guys, I'm gonna keep messing with.
So I think we can roll that basically.
okay, so that's your relatable's personal. Oh, you've got to choose what to defend with, right?
Oh, that's right. So even though I'm using it, I still choose my defense. Yet that's why it actually, yeah. I mean, we could say that if you did choose to attack with the other side of my vast knowledge, it just means I can't defend with it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But as things stand, it's perfectly fine that you're attacking with the but alien personal. I would want to defend, and so I guess that I always end up being the one who gets to decide this with super, because super is the trump there. If there's one that makes sense.
Now, Alex, as I recall, you have a standing hero point, which is available.
Oh, yeah.
If depending on what the contest is.
If he got a marginal victory during that my interference, though, he would have had to use the hero point.
You're talking about Gordon?
No, I'm talking about when I interfered with Alex. I triggered that conflict with the manager.
Right.
I think I got a success and he got a failure, so he bumped that up to a success.
To get his marginal victory. Okay, so he used it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not monitoring how many you guys currently
I
have.
thought you got a hero point at the start of the session for free.
You did.
Yeah. So I think that's the one you used exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I got another one from the asymmetric conflict.
Right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
wait,
so,
I'm stalled out,
so
guys.
that's-
Who's using what on who?
I'm attacking Gordon with relatable but alien.
Right. So are
And
we
I'm-
rolling yet?
And I'm choosing to defend with my vast knowledge because why not?
Right.
So that's personal versus.
That is a success still for me.
You can always use a trigger or remove memory. Maybe like
Yeah.
erase the knowledge that you seem a little off.
I rolled 14. Is your empathetic to individuals 14?
Okay, so
Yeah.
just state
That's a
one of the
success.
four outcomes. So success. Gordon, you got a success, correct?
And so
okay,
success
now who
versus
has a
success.
usable hero point? And did anybody just gain one?
I think you just gained one.
Alex just gained one.
No,
but
no,
he's not
the
allowed to
other
use it.
The other way around, right? Because you're cosmic and I'm attacking personal to cosmic.
No, I'm super.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I do get a hero point, yeah.
You get
Alex
another
gets
hero,
a hero point, but
that
cannot
one you
use it.
can't use here.
And
But
Gordon,
you have
do you have any hero points?
I do have one more left.
Okay.
But I'm probably fine with my success on success. Now,
Giving you the marginal victory.
Giving me the marginal victory. But yeah, if I do run into a hero point, I'll probably spend one.
Right.
Let's do that then, so we can make everything a bit more edgy. I'll spend a hero point.
All right. So it's not easy, but I managed to keep my alienness from completely destroying
Right. Now,
this process.
and you ended up with a marginal or a minor.
Marginal.
Okay, so we got to keep it marginal. That's all you
Yeah.
get,
Exactly.
right? And so no extras, no extra bennies. You're not going to get praised. You're not going to get recognized. What was the scientist's name that you guys came up with in the message there?
I said N1K0. Nico.
Okay.
Nico.
Yeah. So Nico is basically not going to get credit. And nobody's going to appreciate it. The scientists all like their careers are ruined and all the rest of it, but they do manage to make the process, work. So that basically what they do is suppress the Silurian DNA, so that it is not manifested. You have just kept your species from resurrecting. Now, of course, if they did, they would all die.
So is this DNA that was always present in the human
Oh
species?
yeah, it was stuck in there.
Merged.
Yeah, the whole
Okay.
time. Yeah, come on. Why do you think they call it a code? It's one of my that's one of my favorite bullshits out there. People think that there's a message, because it's code. So. All right. Well, cool. You guys kind of getting the idea of how I'm at least currently conceiving how this plays. And at this point, we would continue, and it would still stay in these somewhat disconnected ways where we just keep kind of building up the characters' adventures and lives and little soap operas until such a time as somebody decides to connect what just happened and bring the characters. And also, don't forget, you could start a scene just by having your character go to that other character. You don't need a conflict for that. If you have the capacity to do it, you just do. So, for example, Morgan, now that you know where, now that Azimuth knows where Zebediah is, you could just start your next scene, in his face if you wanted to.
What is Demetrius up to at the moment, actually?
Demetrius is currently not in the session.
Okay.
And the nice thing about
So we don't
that,
want to make up anything for him.
right, exactly. They know this issue we don't find out.
Okay.
And much as the person, Demetrius was that particular customer's favorite character and is disgusted and annoyed after 22 pages to discover that, he's not in this issue. He's going to write a really nasty letter. And to the letters page. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. So in many ways, you're kind of in the 22nd century, Gordon, all
Yep.
alone and unloved.
Yep. Now I probably want to try and figure out how to get out. So one interesting.
Well, do you want to keep playing? Because you've had a couple of contests.
Yeah, no. I think it's time to hear from other people if we're gonna keep going here. But I did want to just point out one interesting little rules thing that came up there because of the way of I pick an ability, then the opposition picks what they're going to oppose with, then I pick what I defend with.
No, he's picking what he's attacking.
Yeah, he picks what he's attacking,
Right.
and then I pick.
No.
Then I
It's
pick,
the other way. Let me start all over again. You
Yeah.
picked what you're doing.
Yeah.
He's attacking that with his ability.
and I choose what I want to defend with.
Right. Now, if the logic makes those the same thing that you're going to oppose
Yeah.
with what's being attacked, then just go with it. That's obviously the simplest solution.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if it's
but-
not, you have the option to go lateral with a third ability.
Yeah. Well, and so
That's
the
all.
interesting wrinkle that came up in this particular situation was, I picked vast knowledge but hard to recall.
Right.
He chose to attack with
your visage.
He chooses to attack with my relatable but alien. Yeah.
Right. Well, yes.
Right. So, but and partially he did that because he didn't really want to attack with the but hard to recall.
He didn't want it to be ability on
Yeah.
ability. Yeah. Right.
Right. But the thing is that it's not really ability on ability, because if he picks that, we could say I have to pick something different to defend with.
You know what?
So
I
he's
don't
still
know
gonna
yet. Yeah.
he would still damage my vast knowledge, but
Right.
I'd have to defend with something else.
Right. Well, you see, that's the question. We could either do it that way, or I could just disallow using an ability against itself.
Yeah, and I thought it would be interesting actually to give a little bit more teeth to the problem.
So that it could attack.
That if
really
somebody
could attack
if somebody
itself.
picks that, if somebody picks that, that takes that off the table for your defense.
Right. That's an interesting point. Okay. To be.
But anyway,
To be noted. To be noted.
yeah, that's all. That's all I
Because
would.
we're really, I mean, we're pushing into edge cases of the system as the way we're doing it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that, but we're working out like what looks good and what doesn't in play right now.
Not looking for an answer. I just didn't want to miss that was kind of
it's
interesting there.
That's definitely an option. Cool. Morgan, I don't want to leave you out. Gordon, do you want to go after Morgan? But if you do, I mean, then we're probably going to call it after that, if that's okay.
Let's see. So Morgan had found what was up with.
Well, what you do is you ask him, remember?
Yeah.
So you say, Morgan, what's Azimuth doing?
So at this point, what do you do? What is Azimuth up to?
Well, Azimuth had just woken up in his apartment, and there was a knock on the door, which turned out to be his brother Ken, who's an estranged family member. So, do I determine what Ken is doing, Ron, or do you want to fill that in?
No, this is the GM. Yeah, this is my
Okay.
job. So basically, Ken will stagger in, and and half collapse, and you
Okay.
realize that he looks really ragged and haggard and desperate, and just basically begs for your protection.
What are you running from?
And he says, things got a little out of hand. Some deals I was making, and I had to give up everything. I had to pull the trigger on my identity, and then my new arrangements didn't work out so well, and I had to
Last thing I heard, Ken, you were working with at-risk teens in one of the social centers downtown. How did you get tangled up in this kind of nonsense?
He tells you his story.
Okay.
And so we have a full page of haunted Ken with word balloons and little pictures.
Oh, okay.
In it. And so it's a terrible story about how he realized that the system that he was in was never going to help anybody, and so he started to basically work the other side. He started giving up information to hacktivists, and he started leaking things to show the abuses of the police on these teens, and also all the judges who all just want to be prosecuted, who just want to be district attorneys one day, and so all they do is throw people in jail to look tough, and
Right.
And so he basically, but the trouble was, basically the district attorney, finally figured out that he was
Found
doing
what
these
it was
things,
doing.
and so basically he's been not so what he did. I mean, he had some backstopped things. So according to all the papers, Ken is dead, Ken is gone, or fled, or just can't be found, or anything. But now this walking body, is off the grid, and his attempt to get out of the country failed, and so he spent all night in the ditch, and finally came to you. There was nowhere else he could think of to go. He still can't stop talking about the poor kids.
I tell him that he's free to stay in the apartment for the moment, but I need to get out of town, and there's something I need to follow up on. Because I know I have a vision in my mind of Zebediah and where he is, roughly speaking, but I need to track him down more precisely.
Okay.
So I tell him I'll be back in a couple of hours, and I'm going to use
Whatever that
my.
means.
Yeah, that's a good question. How is time modeled here?
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm just making a joke because time is silly putty for all of your characters. So we're just
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just making a joke. Back in a couple of hours,
Okay.
time traveler joke.
All right.
So cool. So
So-
therefore, you'll just let me point out that it's up to you. Kind of problematized your ability to find Zebediah right there. You don't have to if you don't want to. You did
No,
get your marginal victory. You do know.
I totally get there's a conflict there because
Right.
I'm torn between helping Ken and going after the child of
But yeah, that's up to you. I'm just letting you know that finding Zebediah is not the problem. Whatever it is you want to do with Zebediah, that you can jump straight to using that ability.
Well, so would this be where it sounds to me like Azimuth, his plan is to leave Ken here safe for a couple hours and start his pursuit of Child of Chinlao through Zebediah.
Yeah, which makes
Um,
perfectly good sense.
And
Yeah.
so it would be my opportunity to step in and say, well, maybe not.
we have to wait until we learn what ability he's going to use.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we'd be like constructing the conflict through consensus, which is not allowed.
Okay. I don't actually have any supernatural abilities that would just teleport me over to where Zebediah is staying. So I suppose I could always just give him a phone call.
Oh, that's so 21st century, 20th.
Is there anything in particular I need to use for that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so yeah, I'm giving Zebediah a phone call and I say I want to meet and that he should bring his girlfriend.
What? You're the guy that was in the future, right?
You may have seen me in a different form, but yes, I was the creature known as Azimuth.
All right.
All right then, yeah.
All right. So we arranged to meet in a bar somewhere in LA. And maybe grab a flight so that we can meet. And tell Ken that the trip is going to be longer than expected. And I tell Zebediah that he needs to watch his girlfriend like a hawk. Because diamonds can wake up tomorrow and
I
there will
can
be
just
nothing.
see Zebediah going. Do tell.
Because if she goes off the rails, there could be a smouldering crater tomorrow where LA used to be.
Oh, okay.
Tell you what,
I
guys,
texted you.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm really okay with like Morgan going ahead and using like an ability and stuff like that, but that might be a good place to wrap right here.
Sure.
Yeah, because basically the real scene would just be the two of you together, and that's fine.
Sure.
No issue. Yeah. What's it like when Morgan and Zebediah meet? Is Diamonds there, for example? And what are the circumstances? That's probably under Zebediah's control.
Yeah, well, I just meet him in a bar. I asked Diamonds to be there. I'm like, there was that guy we saw. He said he wants to meet you.
Oh, really?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, well,
No, I'm not arguing. I'm just this is going to be kind of fascinating. That's all. So, if it's okay with you guys, can I pick up with that? Technically, we should finish out the scene, but I think my brain is just fried out and attempting to play.
Yeah,
Diamonds
that's
right
fine.
okay, yeah.
But cool, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.